Fake carrots. Fake fruit. Fake. Fake. Fake grapefruits. Fake. Liar! You liar!
And there it is. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. We are live on Sunday, April 14th, 2024. I am back from El Worco Vacationo, whatever you want to call the thing I was on. Well, I had a little personal time, and then I had some bodyguard time. I had to watch someone kind of along the likes of, I don't know, Princess Diana. Had to take care of somebody, make sure no one got killed, shot, kidnapped, murdered, raped, or just plain old disappeared. It was one hell of a trip I took, though. And maybe some details will pop out over time. But what I found fascinating was the rest of the world and how it works and operates and what it thinks is important. It was strange. I did not see or hear anybody asking for rainbows or fruitcakes or any of the LGB stuff. There were only two genders at the place I was at. None of that crap. There was a bunch of other kinds of crap, but hey, we'll talk about it in time. But what I want to go over real quick is I want to make sure everyone remembers nobody died during the eclipse from the apocalypse or space aliens or galactic lasers or missiles or asteroids. Mr. Uman, who's in the house, by the way, did you hear if any preppers died? There anything going on? Are we good? Anyways, Darcy T did a $50 super chat donation, which means a Glenn Levitt 15. The first scotch I've had since getting back last night at 1:29 a.m. Darcy T, thank you for the great $50 super chat donation talking about the media hyping the eclipse to infinity. Ooh, I missed that. Good golly. I've had more rum punch man than anyone could handle. Good God. Scotch. Whew. That is medicine. That'll wake you up. Now, it is Sunday Night Live, which means if you've got something to say, you got something to talk about, it is your show. Hit that super chat button up there, and down below we've got CashApp, PayPal, Venmo. If you got something to say, if you want it on the screen, if you want me to read it and address that topic, you make the call by hitting the super chat button, and we make you famous. Now, speaking of fruitcakes and things going crazy, haywire, and bonkers, down in Sydney, Australia, they had a mass murder attack. That's right, folks. A dude killed 7 people at a Sydney shopping mall. It was a mass stabbing attack. 7 dead, folks. 7 dead. Getting stabbed hurts. Getting stabbed, there's fucking blood everywhere. But to kill you by stabbing you, you've got to be very, very energetic and precise and determined, because people run, people fight back, people block the efforts. What an incredible, strange thing! But you know what makes it all the more disturbing is that this mass murderer who killed 7 in Sydney was a male escort. That's right, a gay LGB type prostitute. And this fruitcake, folks, had a history of mental illness down in Australia, down under. Not a saint in the least, even though I'm sure the LGB community would love to dub him, Saint Butt Pirate. Because, well, he should be a saint for taking cocks in his pirate's bullseye, right? Now, you know how they stopped him? A woman cop stopped him. She used a gun and killed his dumbass. That's right. It's funny how guns stop crimes. Crimes committed by people with a Democrat mentality, and certainly, shall we say, psychological disorders. That's right. Another LGB type commits mass murder. And I guess they're going to have to outlaw knives and probably forks and spoons and sharp sticks, because everything can be used as a weapon, folks. I would rather face a guy with, I guess, a knife than a baseball bat. But then again, I don't think dealing with either of them would be good. Now, but then again, I'm 6'6", 280 pounds. And in the country I spent the last week doing my bodyguard fun stuff, people were rather taken aback at the size. And it's good. It's good to whatever you've got, whatever your idea is. And this is about prepping, food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. If your plan is to be big and look dangerous, then be big and look dangerous. If your plan is to blend in, be a gray man, not show, no one remembers even seeing you, then do that. Whatever your plan is, make sure you execute it as well as possible. If you're going to defend yourself, make sure that the self-defense tools you have are, shall we say, adequate, and you are sufficiently competent with them to protect yourself. That's really important. Now, a lot of people say, only police should have guns because they're trained on how to handle and use them. You mean the rest of us aren't capable of doing that very thing? Right? If we were all trained and competent and able to use them, then we would all be fine. But you know what? It's fascinating. That very thing has come up, and I wanted to talk to you guys about it. Once again, Sunday Night Live, I am back. I'll be here 0 dark 30 tomorrow, all week long for everybody, because there's going to be some more shit going down. Now, your questions up here, super chat button right up there somewhere. Hit that thing. But people should be trained on guns, how they work, how to use them, how to handle them, how to be proficient. In fact, in the state of Tennessee, they have a law that they're trying to pass that would require gun safety courses to be taught in all public schools. Now, I think that's a fine idea, don't you? Liberals, I think, should be excused from touching any gun, though, because, they're crazy. And it'll be easier just to eliminate them later for their anti-American treason that they are committing on a daily basis. After being away for a week and then coming back and just reading the headlines, it was disgusting. I was absolutely mortified and disgusted to read everything the Democrat senators, congressmen, the president, the bureaucracy, the FBI, what they're all doing. The fucking Pentagon, too. I'm sure all of the Iranians are scared to death of all the transsexual officers at the Pentagon. I'm sure of it. Anyways, back to Tennessee and the gun safety courses. I think it's a fine idea. I don't know if they need to shoot guns in school, but teaching them gun safety, I think, would be a good idea. Just academic on the board. This is how you protect yourself. This is what you don't do. This is what you do. I think that might be smart, might be wise. What do you think? What do you want to talk about? It is Sunday Night Live. Man thinks that a lot of people thought I was going to be back tomorrow, but not tonight. Well, here I am. So be sure and share that internet address right up there. Thumbs up the video. I am back. We're going to talk about some shit going down. And here we go. We're all ready, even for coming back from a workcation. We've got a great crowd started on Sunday Night Live. So where do we want to go next? Where do we want to go next? Well, I'd like to play Let's Take a Wild Guess. Take a wild guess. There is an enormous amount of information I ran across today after I woke up with respect to the Jim Jones juice, and euthanasia, meaning killing people intentionally, population reduction, genetically modified foods that are going to have mRNA technology in them. It is incredible to me how fast and hard they are pushing this. And I think it's because people are waking up. They're realizing this shit is shit. People like Bill Gates, he needs to be tried and punished accordingly for what he wants to do. The World Economic Forum. Oh, good news. Good news. World Economic Forum. Apparently Klaus Schwab has become very, very ill, very, very sick. And he's been hospitalized. I hope the son of a bitch dies a very painful death, because what he has in store for the world is very painful death for everyone. You know, no meat for you, only eating zabugs, no property for you, no property rights, no comforts unless the state gives it to you, no wealth for you, no travel for you, no rights for you. It's all permission from the state. And the state is to be told what to do by people like Klaus. So fuck you, Klaus. I hope the hospital stay is uneventful for you and that they can't figure out what's wrong with you and you die a very long, slow, protracted death. I don't have any sympathy for people like this, folks, because of all of the Jim Jones juice deaths out there. Senator Rand Paul is going after Dr. Anthony, go fuck yourself, Fauci, big time. In fact, I've got more information. But first, let's play Take a Wild Guess. At Texas A&M. That's a big-ass football school in Texas. Age 23, football player dies. Take a wild guess. Give it a shot. Take a wild guess. Take a wild guess. Darcy T, be sure and send me your question for today, because I don't have it yet. Okay. Where else do we want to go? I'm going to go right down the line. Got some funny stuff here. And then this not so funny stuff. Where are we at? There we go. Guy named Keith Miller. That's right. He was the 23-year-old, died in his apartment. Oh, boy. Wow. Thank you, Mr. Oliver. Sudden death, Keith Miller III, Texas A&M, died in his apartment. No cause of death provided. Does that sound right to you? It doesn't sound right to me. But that's what we've got. Now, producer Rico Wade. I don't know who this Wade guy is, but he died. And again, a lot of people are sick, like Klaus Schwab. That's a sick motherfucker, right? Klaus Schwab. He's going to die in the hospital, hopefully. And I normally don't wish for death for people. Normally, I'm a nice guy and I say, I hope they live to be 180. I want them to spend enormous quantities of time alive thinking about what a piece of shit they are. But in Klaus's case, I think the world would appreciate him leaving right away. But yeah, we're expecting his death, unlike producer Rico Wade. He's age 52, but it was an unexpected death. And no one in the family and no one else is going to, reveal the cause of death, which means it was a heart attack or a stroke or a blood clot, right? Anyways, this part of the whole Jim Jones juice, the World Economic Forum and the World Health Organization are again pushing for pandemic preparation, pandemic authority, pandemic lockdowns, everything. It's not fear porn, folks. Just remember, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Now, Rand Paul is fighting back, and I think we should all text, write, call, email, whatever it takes, your senators, including Senator Paul, and encourage him. Now, he says that a Marine lieutenant colonel stepped forward, let him know that 15 United States government bureaucratic agencies, this is what Rand Paul says, they all knew that cerveza bug COVID-19 was created in a lab in the year 2018, and they kept it secret. Folks, a sitting United States attorney is admitting that there is treason by the Pentagon and the bureaucracy. It's treason. Treason, treason, treason. These people are supposed to serve and protect. They're supposed to obey and defend the Constitution. They're supposed to protect us, the people. Yet, what are they doing? They're playing these games. They're all playing this, let's depopulate the earth. Let's reduce population. Now, while gone, and we're almost at 300 people live already. While I was gone and away, I got to reflect on life a little differently. And when I wasn't busy, giving people the stink eye, like, what are you looking at? What the fuck are you looking at? You want to back up? Like, just move along. Anyways, I started thinking the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Club of Rome, the Bilderberg Group, they used to meet in secret, behind closed doors, at an undisclosed location. They wouldn't tell anyone what's going on. What they're talking about was closely guarded. Their topics. The media would be invited. Politicians were invited. Business moguls were invited so they could be brought into the club, and then swore that they would not reveal what was going to be done in the next coming year or years. But here we have the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. That's why I call them the Davos douches. They are no longer afraid of hiding their faces. We know who they are. They sit in public and talk about depopulation, about pandemics, about vaccines, about the food supply, about carbon, about bullshit climate change. And folks, if you deny on social media the climate crisis, then you are a climate denier. Facts don't fucking matter. Science, who needs it? This is about politics and controlling you and me, the depopulation agenda. They're still fighting in Europe. And I'm thinking the fighting is about to start in America. But they're fighting in Europe over farming, over trucking, over taxis. That's right. Taxi drivers are now just losing their shit because they're losing their lives. It's coming to America, folks. Trust me very much. If you've got something to say, if you want to talk about something, hey, I've been gone the whole fucking week. You've been watching reruns last week that Jolene put up. Thank you to Jolene for that. But I got kind of like a workcation, whatever. But I got to clear my head. And it's interesting because as soon as I got back, everything just hit me, pow, like an assault. I was like, what the hell is going on? We're going to have our trouble. Well, and, I go to get on the plane and no problem. I get off the plane and I find out that missiles are flying. Iran has sent a bunch of shit at Israel. We're going to have World War III. A lot of people are calling that. I'm not doing anything new here, but it's coming, and it's coming now. It's coming fast. Israel and Iran, people know that Joe Biden is weak. He's paid how many billions of dollars to Iran? Billions of dollars to Iran. And what do? I guess they turn around and they buy arms, missiles, munitions, raw materials, and then they supply them to their other terror groups. And they're all lying, folks. Iran claims they sent hundreds of drones and missiles and shit. And Israel claims they shot them all down and only 7 made it in. I don't believe any of these people, folks, but I do know that war is coming. War is coming. All right. It's your show. It's Sunday Night Live. Oh, look at this number here. 333. Nope, now it's 339 people live on Sunday Night Live. I am back. What do you guys want to talk about? This is your show. You hit that super chat button. We get your topic up here on the screen, and we know which way we're going. What do we want to talk about? What's on your mind? Mr. Uman, who is going to be first on the screen? It is Dan Erickson with a $5 super chat donation. And he says, last week you talked about the hordes of people during SHTF coming to people's homes. What would you do? Okay, yeah, that was a really good oldie but goodie. Right, the hordes in SHTF. If they were coming down my street, I would have no choice but to believe they were there to kill me. You know, are they coming? Are the hordes coming for food? Are the hordes coming to get my self-defense items? Are the hordes coming to get my bunker? What are these hordes doing, right? So it would be good to have some intel on them. What are the hordes doing? I think we'll know what the hordes are up to the same way we knew with BLM. BLM, they were interested in terrorizing people, getting paid, demanding money from people, shaking down corporations. They were busy burning, looting, and even murdering, BLMing. They were attacking police, courthouses, government buildings. They murdered federal agents, but you know, they're all good guys, these protesters. So you're asking, what would I do? I would defend myself and my property with deadly force. And I can tell you right now, if there was a horde coming down the street, they would have a hell of a time getting past me. A lot of people, you know, they don't really have it in them to do, say, a 50-man charge on a fortified position. They would all have to come and keep coming and keep coming, even though people around them were dropping like flies. And that's just it. If I've got 2 AR-15s and an AR-10 and numerous handguns, all loaded with full magazines, standard capacity, of course, I think that there would be a lot of trouble for them to have. Right? Especially if there's 2 of us, 4 of us, 6 of us defending a location. You know, they have to realize, how hungry are they, right, if they're coming for food. Now, normally people don't do anything crazy about being hungry until it's too late. In fact, most people wait until it's too late to do anything, which is why I tell you, please get your food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Get your plan together. Get it together now. Know what is happening because, and this is key, everyone else out there who are not preppers don't have their shit together. And they're going to wait until they're thirsty beyond belief, hungry beyond belief, scared to death, uncertain. They won't have their shit together. They won't have a plan. That means they'll make stupid decisions that you'll have to correct for them. Right, Dan? Right? You're asking if they're coming to people's homes, if they're ransacking people's homes, they're not thinking real well. Other people will see them and understand what they're doing, and they will be shot for it. People are going to be very tired of the fucking around. It'll just mostly be about finding out. It's coming. I'm just very surprised at how it's working. I looked at video footage, folks, of these protesters in Europe. And not left-wing protesters, but rather farmers, truckers, taxi drivers, you know, people of European descent who have been there for generations, who work hard. And then I saw videos of protesters who are these climate idiots, and people are now running them over for sitting in the roads. Good. Fucking good. And then there were all the Muslim protesters who were out there applauding the attack on Israel, rioting in the streets, attacking the police. This is Europe, folks. This is Europe. In England and in Paris, you know, mainland, continental Europe, everywhere. They're just having a ball, folks. They're celebrating the death. They're calling for the death of politicians in America. They're threatening politicians here. They're threatening the deans of colleges. They're threatening lawyers. They're threatening everybody with death. We are now going into maximum overdrive stupidity from the left. The left includes Antifa, BLM, pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas type thinkers. These Antifa left-wing communist types. They're in big trouble, Dan. And they're going to wait until they are in big, big, big trouble before they start messing with us. Now, if you just got done having a beautiful MRE dinner, your stomach is relatively full, you've had some clean water to drink, and you're sitting behind your barricade, cover and conceal, and you feel pretty good about your situation. The people that would be coming at you, these hordes, they're going to be undernourished, weak, tired, scared, stupid, thirsty, maybe suffering from cramps. It's going to be summer here pretty quick. You go short on water, you start dehydrating, you'll get cramps. They're not going to make good decisions, which means they may just attack like idiots, regardless of being told, stop, you're violating my rights. Right? But I'm not going to wait till they're 5 feet from me before I do something about it. I'll start addressing the problem at the, shall we say, the minimum allowed clearance. 150 yards away, 200 yards away. We're going to find out, folks. There's a lot of fucking around. And like I said, know who your local politicians are, your state politicians and your federal politicians. If any of them live anywhere near you, be sure somebody understands that and that you keep an eye on them. They need to be held accountable for what's going on. And they will lie their asses off and deny that, well, it's their fault. Anyways, Dan, thank you very much. Uman, super chat donation. Who is next? Who wants to step on up? Hey, and it's Bob Hunter from Scotland. Him and his calico cat there. I saw a cat like that on the island. He does a £5 super chat donation. He says, hi, John. Let's reduce the elites. I'm going to tell you what, brother. I have had it with this this holier than thou, better than thou, smarter than thou, elitist academic bullshit attitude. And it's almost like they invented a lie, their agenda, and they believe it wholeheartedly. And they're just putting their head down and they're just swinging away at us. I agree. The elites, or the aristocracy, if you will, the powerful, they need to be held to account and they need to be rubbed out. And I'm saying that in a very nice way. You want to know why? It's to teach other elites not to do that. You know, and this is important. I want everyone to understand this. By the way, we're over 350 people live right now. So thumbs up and share. Share the internet address, thumbs up. Now, what's important is this concept of self-governance. Some people call it democracy, but it's using portions of democracy that are useful and disregarding the other parts like majority rule. Very dangerous concept. That came about after the American colonists kicked the living shit out of the British and flipped the fucking bird to King George. And then the French, they had had enough of their elites. Remember that guy, King Louis and Marie Antoinette? Ms. Let them eat crusty shit out of their oven called cake. They took him and her and the aristocrats, the elites, and they cut their fucking heads off with a guillotine. Cut their heads off with a guillotine. And after that, interestingly, all of the tyrants around the world started saying, you can have democracy. You can vote for your own rulers. You can have people. Yeah. You guys, you're fine. We don't want to mess with you guys anymore, because they were being killed. In Russia, the Romanovs were murdered by Bolshevik communists for being a bunch of elite scumbags. But it was after all communists. Now, it was quite interesting. Where I was at, there was this little town called Soufrière, and the tour bus guide was a local, and she was black. And they were telling us about this town. And at the town square, there was this big monument as we drove by, big monument built. But she said, 150 years ago, back when slavery was legal, they had a guillotine in the town square right there. A guillotine in the town square. And it was for anyone attempting to escape their slavery. Now, if you attempt to escape your slavery to the elites, what are they going to do to you? Inject you full of crap. Inject you full of crap. That's right. They want you to take that injection and be their slave. Do exactly what they say. And if you don't take it, they want to arrest you and inject you anyway. Essentially, do you want death sentence or a death sentence? Do you want to die or do you want to die? If we put the shoe on the other foot, Mr. Hunter, if we put the shoe on the other foot, if they know that they're going to die for fucking with us, they would likely, like they did back in the early 1800s, start going, hey, we're not going to mess with you people. You can govern yourselves. It's time, once again, in my opinion, Mr. Hunter, to declare our independence of tyrannical government, declare our rights, including the right to property, real property, private property, real estate property, if you will, as well as our money and our lives and our labor. The fact that I work and use my hands and my mind to do things, why does the government get to have a cut of that merely for doing nothing? I don't think so. Anyways, it was quite a trip. Once again, folks, the elites need to be reduced. Thank you, Bob Hunter, up in Scotland. Good to have you here. The country I was in, by the way, YouTube kept, there's no commercials. Quite interesting. No commercials on YouTube. And on Amazon, I tried logging in on Amazon just to see what they allowed on television. Quite interesting. I talked to some locals about culture, and they said, yeah, the fucking youths in this country now, all they want to do is play on their phones and emulate American entertainment, meaning music, ghetto trash. And, the person, he was pretty young, about 30. He was like, it's a terrible shame. Anyways, I got a question here from Darcy T. Super Chat donation, $50. And she said, hey, PayPal released the payment that was made. Apparently, they didn't like the content, so they held it for review. Interesting, yeah, PayPal, folks. Remember, they canceled the John. Now, she writes, is it me or was it the Iranian retaliation a bit milquetoast? Not that I want any violence, but it seems that most of their missiles, etc., landed in the desert. Are they really that lame? Well, we have a quandary here. Are they that lame? Is this staged garbage? Was it Iran that shot those missiles? Because who would know? Or was it the Houthis? Or was it the United States military just shooting missiles off at targets that weren't really targets? That way the Israelis could shoot some of them out of the air and claim victories. It's the game is just that awful. Are they really that lame? Well, in order to hit a target, you've got to shoot your missile in a certain direction and then hope it hits the target. In order to hit a missile with another missile, that has to be quite a bit more technical. Now, of course, the Israelis claim they only got 7 out of 300 were let through. But I saw a couple of videos. It looked like in a matter of like 10 seconds, 10 got through. And that was just that one barrage. It's interesting. I mean, not that it's easy, but I think they really are that lame in all truth. Look at our military. Look at the British military getting fucked with by Somali pirates, being screwed with by Somali military. Are they so lame that they cannot send a missile right up the anal canal of their generals? How can they not know with satellite technology, intel on the ground, laser guided, right? Either satellite or surveillance planes way up there that can see down. They're supposed to be able to read your license plate from fucking space, but they can't target and hit the things they need to hit. They can't take out, and again, here we're way over here in Somalia and the Houthis screwing with the American and the British military, the Navy. They can't take out their leadership. They can't figure out who they are, where they are, and then just nuke the shit out of them. Are they that lame is the question. It is an unbelievable mess we've got, folks. Absolutely unbelievable. We're well over 416 people, 17 people live. Share the internet address, hit the thumbs up, and if you've got something to say, super chat away. Mr. Uman, who is next? We've got Bob Hunter is back with another $5 5-pound super chat donation. He says, John, if I showed you what was under my kilt, would you be afraid? The answer is yes. Scotsman, what a Scotsman keeps under his kilt is that Scotsman's business. I met some Welsh and some people from Bristol, and I tried bringing Scots into the conversation, and they're afraid. They're very afraid of you Scots up north still. I don't know about our good friend Stephen Conlon in England there, but the Bristols and the Welsh, they're very much afraid of you Scots and probably what's under your kilt. Anyways, yeah. Whew. I ran into quite a few foreigners, folks. Quite a few foreigners, and they knew I was there in a bodyguard capacity. Even though I was still looking around at construction. I wasn't working construction, but interesting when people found out that I'm one of these guys. There's a level of awe and respect for U.S. military. I found that fascinating because it seems to contradict the attitude that our nation's enemies have. Right now, of course, the individuals I was talking to and meeting with were polite and civilized, but they're like, oh, you're a Marine, huh? Wow. And they wanted to engage in conversation, ask about it. But there's a great deal of respect. When it comes to these freaking Middle Eastern jihadis, they don't seem to have any respect for the law, police, our government, military. They don't respect those people because they're not respectable. Joe Biden, not respectable. So why should anyone respect him? Right? Nancy Pelosi, the Pentagon, where a man comes out dressed like a woman with lipstick on, makeup, heels, a military man dressed as a woman, and you expect the enemy to be afraid. That is exactly why the Houthis and the Iranians and everyone else are like, nope, I'm not afraid of you guys anymore. We're up to 424 people live, folks. That is amazing. That is awesome. That is good stuff. I want to see more people. I would love to hit 500, but it is Sunday Night Live. This is your chance to get your thoughts up here, not just mine. This is your chance to talk about what's important to you, not what's just important to me. But remember, folks, we're Americans, and the rest of the world respects us as people. The rest of the world does not respect the government. They don't value and admire our government. In fact, they fucking hate it. A lot of places around the world. It really is terrible, all the things that are going on around the world. But there was some funny shit I heard about. Uman was able to get a hold of me with a internet messenger service while I was gone and let me know that O.J. Simpson died. Yeah, and the memes couldn't start fast enough. Now, what I found disgusting, though, weren't the O.J. Simpson memes and jokes. I found them quite humorous because there's a lot of truth mixed in. Satire, humor, truth makes one think. Now, on CNN, they had a whole different game they were playing. CNN's moronic, racist reporter personality, Stephanie Elam, she showered O.J. Simpson with praise and said that, quote, so many people, they're happy to see O.J. Simpson get away with murder. Why? Why were they happy to see him get away with murder? Well, because he's rich, famous, and black. That's what Stephanie Elam says. And I would think that one has to be an elitist. One has to be a filthy, elitist sack of pig shit to think like that. And I'm going to ask you, what do you think? What do you think? To think like that. To think that what people liked OJ, they're happy that he got away with murder because he was black and famous and rich. How does that justify it? It's just incredible. Now, they had another idiot. They had another idiot on CNN come out and say something equally as fucking stupid. These people are ghoulish. They're garish. They're awful. Absolutely awful. They had another just absolutely horrible person. This horrible person. Ashley Allison. This person on CNN. She's a contributor. And a national coalition's director for Biden-Harris. So there's the politics. She said O.J. Simpson he was representative of something in the black community because he killed two white people. Here's the quote. I'll give it to you. This is to show you how sick the Democrats are, how racist they are. This is what Ashley Allison said, quote, he wasn't a social justice leader, but he represented something for the black community in that moment, in that trial, particularly because there were two white people who had been killed and the history around how black people have been persecuted during slavery. What does O.J. Simpson killing his ex-wife have to do with fucking slavery and persecution? O.J. Simpson was extremely famous as an actor, a television commercial spokesman, and a super athlete running back for the Buffalo Bills. I don't know of too many slaves who were able to go to college, play in the NFL, become an actor and a television personality, marry a white woman, have kids. I mean, O.J. Simpson, hello, right? Now, this is what this dumb bitch says. Again, Ashley Allison. Until this country is ready to actually have an honest conversation about the racial dynamics from our origin story until today, we will always have moments like O.J. Simpson that manifests, and our country will always be divided if we don't actually deal with the issue of race. I don't remember race being much of a fucking issue until Barack Obama became president. And he made race an issue in a very, very, very negative way. Yep. Yeah. Just incredible, folks. And this isn't what this dumbass bitch said is not what the black community wants. It's not what they believe. It's not what they need. It truly isn't. It really isn't. And the reason I know that is because more and more blacks are siding with and supporting President Trump. More and more. Bigger percentage, bigger numbers. Because they've had it with the bullshit and the lies. It is unbelievable what's going on. Folks, it is now your turn. It is. We're 45 minutes into the show. We'll go about 2 hours. As long as you guys have questions that get up on the screen, then there will be answers right here on the Prepared Mind channel. Mr. Uman, who is up next? We've got 426 people live. We've got Chin Music with a $4.99 super chat donation. He says, hey, ScrewTube is censoring my auger chats and the spell functioning is on the keyboard aren't working properly. Fuck Joe Biden. That is fucked up, Chin Music. They are turning up the censorship, though. And this is fact. They're turning up the censorship. Yeah, Darcy T, nice little lady in Texas, is trying to use PayPal to get her thoughts and questions out for all of us to consider. Free speech. But because of the content of her message that was sent, it was held up. Now, Chin Music, yeah, your chats, your auger chats, super chats are being interfered with. I believe it. They don't want us talking. They're losing the argument. So the best way to win an argument that you're losing is to tell the other person you can't talk anymore. And then the moment they start to talk, you hit them on the head with a baseball bat. That's what they're doing, folks. They're stopping us from talking. Chin Music, send me an email, if you will, with what it is you want to talk about. Normally, Chin Music does a Venmo super chat, and that bypasses all these idiots. But everywhere, they are trying to silence us so we can't talk. The military, since 2018, has had Cerveza bug, and it was a fail. In my book, it's a failure. An absolute fucking failure in my book. Because it didn't kill 25% of the world population. It didn't kill 2%. It didn't kill nobody hardly. In fact, it was less deadly than the average winter flu. I think because so many people stayed home and hid in their homes, scared to death, they didn't go around sneezing and coughing on each other as normal, so therefore they didn't die. It turned out to be a flop. More people died on fucking ventilator machines because of the ventilator machines. But be that as it is, they want to silence us. Not talking about that. Do not talk about Joe Biden and what he did to cheat. That's right, cheat through the election. Anyways, this is where we're at. Oh, and there we are. Hey. Wow, Chin Music did a $55.56 super chat donation. And he sent that through Venmo. Thank you. And get your next question up there. Use some of those secret codes, Mr. Chin. And we'll see if we can get it translated. Anyways, great super chat donation. Oh, shoot. You know what that means. Any super chat donation over $50 buys me a single malt scotch from Scotland, folks. I do prefer the Glenlivet and the Glenfiddich. Those are my favorites. And so that's why I always have them. Here's to you, Chin Music. Thank you for the great donation. Good to be back in the country. Woo! My mother's milk, so smooth, so refreshing. Wow! Now, being in another country, realizing I was operating under privilege, not having my American rights. Quite interesting indeed. I was glad to get back, but then I felt the oppression in America. Absolutely crazy stuff. Okay, while waiting for Chin Music's next question comment, Mr. Uman, who is up? Who do we have? We have Drumwolf with a $9.99 super chat donation. Drumwolf62 says, why would they want to destroy the greatest country in the world? Why destroy America? There are other countries worse than America. I'll tell you what, that is a great topic. Why take down America? Because they hate it. Well, why hate America? It creates wealth for the rich people. They don't like you being able to go where you want, drive where you want, fly where you want, do what you want, be where you want. They don't want you to have rights. They want to be able to take away your privileges and punish you and lock you down. They want to take away your bank account, remove your job. I noticed years ago walking through first class on an airplane. I'm like, hey, I'm on the same plane as these rich people. These dumb bastards are paying $10,000 for an airline ticket that I paid $500 for. I just have a smaller seat. But yeah, they don't like us. They don't. Now, I was in another country. There were rich people all over the fucking place. Big giant houses everywhere. The regular people lived in shanties and served the super rich people. So all the resources of that country still get harvested, mined, however you want to look at it, whether it's food or mineral out of the ground or timber, all those things get processed. And somebody makes money on it, and it isn't the people, because I'm looking at how poor they are. All of the vast, vast resources of America, they just don't want us to benefit from it. They want all the energy for themselves and their jets, right? Right, Mr. Drumwolf? But they don't want you to fly on the jet and go where you want. They don't give a fuck about carbon and themselves. They want to stop you. They want to eat the best steaks, the finest seafood. They want you to eat the bugs. They can't make you eat bugs and take away your car and your money and your wealth unless they destroy America. In every country, whether it's like America, Europe, Russia, China, Central America, South America, Asia, African nations, there is tons of wealth, but the people are very poor. All of that wealth is there to be exploited by the elites, the rich. But America, they can't control us. We, you, me, we're all uncontrollable. Uncontrollable because we have rights and we possess a lot of our own wealth still. They're taking it away. Tax this, tax that, inflate that away. Whoops, we can't get it anymore. That's illegal to bring in the country. Shut down the oil. Right? Everything fucking Biden is doing, inviting in illegals to come into this country and suck all the money out of the system, out of the hospital system, the food system, the transportation system. I saw a line of illegals who have been flown into this fucking country at an international airport yesterday when I touched down. The governor of Florida can't do a thing about it because they're on federal property. That's right. An airport is federal property, but he's bringing in, folks, thousands and thousands and thousands of people and dumping them in our country. Biden is, to try and destroy it so they can keep us all poor. Take away your desire to do well, to work hard. Why? They don't need us anymore. They can exploit the land for mineral wealth, for food wealth, for technology, everything. They don't need us, and therefore they want to make us poor. Our Constitution is, in America, it's an obstruction to them. It's an impediment. It slows them down. They want to get rid of America and destroy it. That's why. It's not about, they want to go after America because it's an easy target. It's the hardest target of all. And so they've hired our own politicians against us. That's right. The Democrats, the Rhino Republicans, Washington, D.C., they're all in it together. All the bureaucrats in immigrations and custom, border patrol, FBI, every last one of those cocksuckers that are letting these illegals in, making it easier and easier for them to get here so they can destroy this country. They're doing it on purpose. And they all feel good about it, folks. They feel great. They're like, oh, yeah, we need to share the wealth with the rest of the world. Sorry. The reason we have wealth is because we worked hard for it. And we have fought for our rights. And now we're going to have to fight again. Thin down the elites. That's a great start. We're going to have to get rid of the bad people also, because they're not worth having around. Anyways, yeah, there's a lot of other places that are worse than America, but have you seen the pictures of homeless camps in Los Angeles, Oakland, San Francisco, Dallas, Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Cincinnati, Seattle, Portland? Have you looked at these cities where the homeless live? It looks like a third world shithole. It makes Somalia look handsome. It's unbelievable. All right. Thank you, Drum Wolf. Great question. Great topic. Let's do this. Mr. Uman, who is next? And it's Uman. This is from Chin Music. Here we go. He did a $55.56 super chat donation. He says, John, I'm coming around the back like Mayor Pete. Still waiting for someone to tell me what the strategy is behind our guys dying in Israel. Speak to me like I'm 5. Also, I may have memes ready for Indecent Exposure Month right around the corner. Yay us, fuck Joe Biden. All right, Mr. Uman, let's go back to the first one and talk about he's coming around the back like Mayor Pete. That's pretty fucking funny. Mayor Pete is the transportation secretary that Joe Biden called Pete Booty Juice. Pete Booty Juice. Coming around back, it's a reference to his gayness. Still waiting for someone to tell me what the strategy is behind our guys dying is Israel. Joe Biden has sent thousands of United States Marines over to prepare for war. They need to destroy America. And I don't think I need to speak to you like you're 5, Chin. They want to destroy America. They're doing it inside our country right now. They're destroying America inside our country by bringing in illegals, by giving our money away to Ukraine, giving it away to, Iran. Every country they can give it away to, all the poor people they can give it away to. By poor, I don't mean like our poor vets and our homeless veterans. They're fucking it all up intentionally. Now, if you think that our infantry troops are a bunch of trannies, I think you're wrong. Okay, the rest of the military, a relatively small percentage of the military actually handle rifles and go out. Right, the special forces, airborne, Rangers, recon, right, Marine expeditionary units. That's a small percentage of the military. They're at the front fighting, and everyone else supports behind it. They want those people, and they wouldn't mind if they just all got killed. That's my belief, is that Joe Biden wouldn't mind seeing the military just slaughtered. I don't think he'd mind that at all. And so putting him in harm's way, they've given away all of our armament to Ukraine to blow, destroy, waste, etc. They're sending our troops overseas to get ready to fight in a war that they're creating intentionally. What does that do to us in America here? We are not very safe, are we? With our military being destroyed from the inside by Lloyd Austin and all the fruitcakes in D.C. But then they're going to send our troops around the world. They're destroying our energy resources, not making sure we have more, but they're destroying what we do have. We are being invaded. We're being told we're going to eat bugs. There's problems with food, water, electricity, energy in this country. It's not absolutely off the hook yet, but how much further does it need to be pushed before our grid starts going down? How many more cyber attacks do we have to have before a big one really gets through, or a big one is caused by our own government? Are you prepared? Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. The government hates that you have an AR-15 or 2 or 3. They hate that you have a self-defense shotgun or a hunting shotgun. They hate that you have a hunting rifle and that you have thousands of rounds of ammunition that they cannot send to other countries. Remember when they tried that? Everyone, get your ARs and send them to Ukraine so they have weapons to fight against the evil Russians with. Remember that? Coming around back like Mayor Pete. Slipping around the backside. Yeah, that guy's a filthy little worm. Anyways, this is what's going on. The strategy is to kill us, to destroy us internationally, to kill our reputation, to make the world a better place in their eyes. which means a worse place for you and I. People here in America, the tension is very, very high. They tried all the fear and panic they could over the eclipse, and it worked. People were fearful, panicking like idiots, and that's how that goes, right? People are pissed off at each other because you got Democrats on one side, you got people who love America on the other, and we see each other, and we're going to be in each other's throats. It's coming. They want that. They want civil war. In fact, their Civil War movie has come out. I think Kaz, the Italian hillbilly, has done a review on it. They want, and in fact, I guess that was a left-wing Democrat Pete Buttigieg fist pump. Good time for Democrats in that, because of course it portrayed, patriots as the bad guys, etc., who all need to be killed. Whatever, folks. We've been at 450 people live here, and this fantastic turnout tonight. Be sure and hit thumbs up. If you've got something to say, there's a super chat button there, or down below, Venmo, CashApp, or PayPal. It's all good stuff. But I want you to share that internet address up there and get more people on here. Mr. Uman, who is next? We've got Dan Erickson back with another $10 super chat donation. And he says, what do you think of Vivek Ramaswamy? Is a genuine patriot like he comes off as, or something else? Vivek Ramaswamy is a very rich man. I believe he's a billionaire. Vivek Ramaswamy is a smooth talker, just like Obama. Vivek Ramaswamy is playing on the fact that he is a ethnic minority. And so he'll get sympathy votes because of that. Because if you don't vote for him, you must be a racist. Kind of like Barack Hussein Barry Soetoro Obama. Came off as a smooth, articulate speaker. And if you didn't vote for him, you're a fucking racist. All right, so Vivek Ramaswamy, he actually mimics Barack Obama very closely. And a lot of his expressions and sayings actually sound as if they were Obama's words, because a lot of them contain the same words and sentence structure, etc., etc., etc. I don't think he is a genuine patriot. I don't. I will question that until I see something different. Everybody gets checked. Everybody. Everybody is going to get scrutinized by me and by you too, I hope. And I'm glad you asked about Vivek Ramaswamy. I don't trust him. I don't trust anyone. In fact, I don't even trust President Trump. This is the Trumpinator. The Trumpinator. I'll be back in 2024. It's a Trump bear, and he's even got the little, red eye like the Terminator had. This was sent to me by Heidi. Thank you, Heidi, very much for the Trumpinator. I watch him. I watch Trump close. I don't give him a pass. I think he's the best bet this country has. The best bet we have to regain. Let's just start with fucking sanity. To regain national sanity. To remember our national character. We're Americans, and freedom is number one. Freedom first, and then government can act. You can't have freedom if the government is not acting on our behalf. Government's acting on its own behalf. Anyways, the Trumpinator, I keep an eye on him, and he is doing and saying the right things. Will he on day one start the largest deportation effort ever in America? Well, I'll tell you what, let's see. In Russia, Moscow had a terrorist action occur where over 100 people were killed, murdered by terrorists. Putin's act, his response, if you're not a Russian citizen and you're a Muslim, get the fuck out right now. You don't want to find out what happens if you stick around after the cutoff date. He kicked them all right the fuck out of his country. Get the fuck out if you're not a Russian and you're a Muslim. When they tried saying, tried saying it was ISIS. He was like, okay, ISIS, you're all out. Every last one of you. I, of course, think it was the CIA using plants. using stooges and fools and morons, but they killed a lot of Russians. Trump needs to do the same thing. Day one, he needs to let all the January 6th protesters out of prison, drop all charges, commute all charges, forgive all crimes, pardon them forever, and then apologize to them. And then I think they need to take Nancy Pelosi's money, Paul Pelosi's money, Chuck Schumer's money, Barry Soetoro Obama's money. Every Democrat needs to give up their wealth to pay them reparations. Now, because people alive today whose great grandparents were slaves, they aren't affected by what was done by their great grandparents. But the people, whether they're black or white, male or female, young or old, that have been locked up because of Joe Biden and his Department of Justice for daring to protest against the election, and then who dared to stand their ground as they were being attacked by federal law enforcement officers in Washington, D.C. They all need to be let go. He needs to restart the Keystone Pipeline. He needs to restart drilling in America for energy independence. Did you know, are you aware that Joe Biden, shit-stained, shit-heel Joe Biden, president, sold America's strategic oil reserves? They're called strategic oil reserves for a reason. Sold them to China. He sold our oil literally out of our tanks into a tanker and sent it to China. And now he has refused. He has utterly 100% fucking refused to refill them. You want to know why? Well, oil's too expensive now. Our strategic reserves are drained. Our military armament is drained. Our military is being sent around the planet getting ready to fight wars. In our own country, we've been invaded by illegals that are being flown in and bussed in and trained in by Joe Biden. You don't think civil war is coming? You don't think World War III is happening? You don't think shit has hit the fan? Oh, they're promising pandemic, folks. They're promising it. They're trying to create racial hatred in this country. Racial hatred by continuously encouraging angry racists to fight and murder and kill. Just in the last couple of months, women getting punched in the face, girls, young women being punched in the face by angry, nasty people. It's sickening. Folks, we're almost at 500 people live. Share that internet address. Get them here. Thumbs up. Super chat donations. Get your questions, comments on the screen. Ooh, man, who is next? And it's Chin Music. And the $4.99 super chat, he says, hell no, he wouldn't mind. He'd backfill the military with newcomers. Now, this is an interesting thought. Okay, yeah, you want to send all the trained Marines and trained Army infantry, send them overseas to slaughter? Oh, yeah, we can replace that. We'll just say, hey, all you illegal immigrants, I think this is what you're getting at, Chin. All you illegal immigrants, all of you men who are between the ages of, 18 and 26, which seems to be about 90% of all of them, join the military. Join the U.S. military. In fact, they don't even have to put them in the Marine Corps. They don't even have to put them in the U.S. Army. They could create a new military. Remember that? Remember when Barack Hussein, Barry Soetoro Obama, wanted to create a new military? Do you remember that? He wanted a civilian military as powerful and as strong as the regular military. Do you remember that shit? Oh, man, you remember that? He wanted to create a civilian law enforcement military type force. So why wouldn't they do that? train a bunch of these foreign yo-yos who don't know what a constitution is, much less how to say the words, have no concept of rights, only what? Acting out on orders. They could train all these fucking people. Go, oh, yeah, now we got a protective force. Yeah, it's all of these people who don't speak any English. But don't worry, they've been fully trained by the government and armed. How would you like that in our country to protect us, right? The newcomer military. You can earn your citizenship with the U.S. government by joining their special foreign legion that lives inside our country that we pay for. Oh, there's so many different ways these fuckers can go. So many different ways. And it wouldn't surprise me at all. Not a bit. I mean, these people from other countries, what have they been doing? They've been robbing. They had this idiot show up, Venezuelan. Yeah, Venezuelan. He couldn't tell the bank teller, give me the money, because he couldn't speak English. But he was clearly trying to rob the bank. So he was using his Google translator to tell everyone by time. This is great. The police actually showed up and arrested the dumb fuck. They're here to commit crimes, right? And they have to compete with our local ghetto trash. Like the teen who was harassing an old woman, an elderly woman, on the church steps. He shoved her off the top of the steps. She fell down, back hit the ground, head slammed against the concrete. This teenager, folks, who literally shoved an old woman off of church steps. He's been arrested and released 9 different times in the last 8 months. Sounds like a model citizen, doesn't it? Once again, folks, a ghetto rat attacks an honest citizen in a robbery murder attempt, and evil, slimy Democrats want to let him out again. Now, this attack has gotten a lot of attention, but it's not going to stop what is going on. They want to bring in illegals from everywhere. They're raping children, folks. They're kidnapping children, raping children, raping women, kidnapping women. It is just absolutely unbelievable. In fact, the Democrats, get this, they just lost another presidential candidate. Gone. Who is this person? Who would this great candidate have been to run with Biden or to replace Biden? Well, it's a Texas high school teacher. That's right, a Texas high school teacher. This black woman looks like she's about 40, right? She's a teacher. She has been arrested for targeting vulnerable girl students, young underage girls, targeting them and then grooming them to become prostitutes, hookers. For the teacher, she's the fucking pimp, right? High school cosmetology teacher. Unfucking believable, folks. Kedria Grigsby, right? Guess her political affiliation, right? Age 42. And I'm absolutely sick of ignoring the politics of race baiting and anti-white racist scum. I'm sick of that shit. We know who the bad people are. They're Democrats and they're ghetto rats. Everyone, me, you, everyone needs to call them what they are. Whether they're LGB types or college professors, they're all perverted, evil fucks. They want lawlessness. They want to piss off black men who and give them racist hatred. So they run around punching women in the head, punching people on trains, throwing people on train tracks. That's what they're doing. It is a divide the country, right? This fucking high school teacher in Texas, arrested and accused of child sex trafficking, cosmetology teacher, right? She would offer them these upset runaway type students, give them a place to stay, and then force them into prostitution. You want to talk about preying on people. And that's exactly what these illegals are doing. They're preying on people. They're trying to do smash and grabs in stores. I saw, and protesting Target and boycotting Target is still fine, but Target in one location is locking up everything in the store. But some cities are actually going to allow the people to sue stores that close down in their area. Does that make a lick of fucking sense? The stores being robbed blind because of the Democrat city leadership and the police and the district attorneys not prosecuting criminal behavior. So they're shutting their store down. Like, we're fucking losing money. And now they're going to be allowed to be sued for losing money. Other cities are saying if there's crime around your store, you're responsible for it. If the city has to come in and take care of it, you'll be billed for it. If someone has their property damaged, that store has to pay for it. You're wondering why and how they're destroying America. This is exactly how. Exactly how. Right? What do you want to talk about? Super chat button's right up there. I want to know what's on your mind, what you want to discuss. I've got a ton of shit in my fucking hopper here. I'm trying to stay calm. What is on your mind? What do you want to go over? I want to talk about this, though. Remember when Planet Fitness, a woman was disgusted that a man was in the women's bathroom shaving? Oh, he claims to be a woman, so you must let him. Well, their stock tanked. People have quit going to their fucking gym. They're like, you know what? I'm not going there. If they want to play this fucking game where a man can say he's a woman and get away with it. Well, the fucking idiots at Planet Fitness are back. They're back, right? And this is their statement. Despite the uproar for failing to protect women, this is a news story. Despite the fact that everyone's pissed off that they're not protecting women, Planet Fitness has stood by its decision, saying that members' discomfort is not a reason to deny access to a transgender member. And Planet Fitness is proud to be a judgment-free zone. Now, here's the quote from the fucking idiot leadership, the chief corporate affairs officer named McCall Goslin. This is the quote. As the home of the judgment-free zone, Planet Fitness is committed to creating an inclusive environment. Yeah. The judgment-free zone they have has led to the arrest of a man who was wearing a beard but claiming to be a woman in North Carolina, in Gastonia, Planet Fitness in Gastonia, North Carolina, because he went into the women's locker room, stripped naked, and paraded around in front of the women. Can you imagine the brain power of these fucking morons, these Democrats? These people at Planet Fitness, they want everyone else, me and you, to be uncomfortable. Remember how they say they're judgment-free zone? It's not about, right, any member's discomfort at a transgender being there. That's not what it's about, right? Their judgment-free zone is about, well, making everyone else uncomfortable to accommodate one person, two persons, three. Fruitcakes. They want the fruitcakes to feel accepted. They want you and me and everyone else on the Planet Fitness to be uncomfortable, and that's too fucking bad, right? They want to allow criminals, perverts, rapists, murderers, illegals into our society to commit all manner of crime, destroy America, and no jail time. They won't tolerate you or me telling these men, you can't have babies. Gay isn't normal. No, right? But they want to say gay is normal. That's bullshit. Their pronouns are bullshit. There's only 2 genders. And if you disagree, then, well, you're a mental degenerate as far as I'm concerned, who should be sterilized or incarcerated or more permanently dealt with, I think. Right? No, wait. I must be wrong here, right? I'm all wrong. Molesting children is fine. Just right, Democrats? They're letting them go. They want to let them out of prison in California. Suing businesses for not accepting their mental illness. That's a good thing. And being a diseased, filthy butt pirate is an ideal way to live the life of the drag queen. Yeah, you bet. This is all the shit they want for us. Crazy, crazy business. Folks, crazy business. Absolutely crazy. Okay, Mr. Ooman, I think I've said enough for a few minutes. What do we have going on? What is up? Who's next? Hey, it's Shelly Chavers with a $20 super chat donation. She's back. And she says, do you think free speech partly went out the window when the Daily Wire fired Candace Owens? I'm a white person, just for the record, no racial issue intended, just free speech. Well, Candace Owens is black. Okay, but she is a very staunch, libertarian-minded woman. She got in basically a pissing match with Ben Shapiro at the Daily Wire. I don't believe that was a racially motivated firing. I believe it was all political. Ben Shapiro is a loudmouth know-it-all, and I don't care for him. He is good at debating and arguing. He is very quick-witted and sharp-tongued, but he has a personal agenda that I think is not the best for freedom. Right? He wants his way, and so he'll bend things to suit his agenda. He'll bend his approach, and it's, I guess he's just being honest about it. But free speech, I don't think went out the window, Shelley. I do not. In fact, I think it brought more attention to the need for more free speech. As we know, President Trump was kicked off of Twitter. What did he do? He created his Twitter-type platform. And then he has monetized it now to create a wealth stream that he's using to fight these leftist idiots. It gave him, what, another $3 billion to fight them with? Good, right? So Elon Musk was having trouble. So he buys fucking Twitter. Right? So he can speak freely, and he has been. In fact, now he's going after the country of Brazil. That's right. Brazil has got an anti-free speech thing going. They have a series of Supreme Court judges, but one in particular is a nasty, filthy sack of shit communist. Marxist, communist, anti-freedom type guy. Brazil is in big fucking trouble. They elected a communist felon to be their president. Unfucking believable. Yeah, it is. There's so much about free speech. And Shelley, without your free speech, how are you supposed to think? If you can't say the words or entertain the thought, and no one else is saying the words or entertaining the thoughts, what does that mean? That means we're all being silenced. We're all being hurt. And we're all being controlled. So when they silenced Candace Owens by firing her, they actually freed her and liberated her. Look at Tucker Carlson. He left CNN. He is now more popular and more powerful than ever. Ever. He's more free to say what he wants. And Candace Owens can do the same thing. Right? Twitter is serving or showing itself to be a very popular way for people who have been silenced to speak freely. I'm trying to use Twitter more with regard to retweeting and sending out thoughts there. It would be great, right, if we could all be heard. And that's what they don't want, Shelley, is they don't want us to be heard. You, me, anybody. They want us silenced. Folks, we're sitting at 450 people live right now What a great show we're having. I'm loving having you guys here. What do you want to talk about? That super chat button there, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal down below. That is how you get your thoughts, your questions on the screen. Folks, people need to get prepared. They need to get prepared. They need to be ready. They need to have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. They need to have a plan. They need to know where they're at and who is around them in a 10-mile radius, because things are getting nasty. The police are not going to be there to help you. If you recall, in 2020, we were all told you're on your own. Now get this. This happened on the weekend. A teen has shot 3 policemen in Memphis, Tennessee. 3 of them. 1 dead, 2 hospitalized. Now, one of the teens, one of these thug punks involved in this shooting, was let out of jail, no bond required, just last month for very serious crimes. Now, stepping it up to killing cops. Thanks, Democrats, right? And I want to, again, address police, address the cops. You support free people in a Constitution and the Second Amendment as written. Do you do that now? Do you support us? Right? Who pays your salaries? Taxpayers. Who pays your benefits as police? Taxpayers. And who pays into your retirement for you? The taxpayers. And who murders you and takes away your safety as police? The thugs murder you guys and want to kill you. All of the great rappers like P. Diddy and all of the Death Row Records guys out there singing about, killing cops. And then the police, right? You guys get picked on and shot. The district attorneys, they let them go. The judges let them go. The governors, the mayors, the Democrats out there let all these criminals back out on the street. If they're releasing all these child molesters in California and other states, what do you think those child molesters are going to do? These sex offenders? It ain't safe, folks. I do want the police to do their job. I do want them to help us protect our country. They need to realize that we're the good guys, not the bad guys. We are not milk cows who should be captured, tied up, and milked of our money every chance they get. Need to get off our fucking asses and get on the criminals. And hey, here's a good one, cops. If a politician or a prosecutor, district attorney, or a judge does not do their job properly, arrest them for dereliction of duty and placing the public in great danger and peril by failing to do their jobs. Their job is to put people in prison for being criminals, for punching women, for raping children, for killing cops, for robbing businesses, for stealing businesses blind. They need to be locked up, not us. All right, Mr. Uman, we're at an hour and a half, man, 90 minutes into the show, and it's Mr. Skylight checking in with a $19.99 super chat donation. And he says, "Give me liberty or give me death." A very, very famous quote from Patrick Henry in 1775. Folks, back then, people were pissed. Guess what was going on back then? Let me help you understand what was happening in colonial America. Foreigners were being brought into the country to harass the people, to commit criminal acts by the government. The government brought them in. The government encouraged it. The government allowed it. They brought in mercenaries out of European countries. Right? You bet. The Franco-Prussian Empire, they were bringing, you could call them Germans if you want. You could call them whatever you want. They're Europeans, mercenaries, brought in and turned loose on the people. The English also paid money to Native Americans to go around and fight with Americans, screw them over. The British Redcoats, the police, were turned loose on Americans. And finally, Americans had enough. They had no one to protect them. They didn't have a police. They were being attacked by foreigners. They were being attacked by lawless savages who were being paid to attack them, to rape their women, to kidnap their children, to kill them. Sound familiar? Read the Declaration of Independence, folks. Read it. Read it, and you will understand exactly what happened. They're very clear about it. The courts were being used as a political persecution tool. Sound familiar? Well, it should. They were arresting people for committing no crimes and throwing them in jail and not giving them trial. Sound about the same as the January 6th protesters being charged with bullshit false crimes, or not being charged at all, just being held in prison for years and years and years. There is a gulag, a Bastille in America right now, set up by Joe Biden and his administration. How evil are they? How just absolutely filthy are they? So when people like Patrick Henry said, give me liberty or give me death, he fucking meant it. Sam Adams, not just a good beer, folks. Sam Adams, right, was a patriot. Paul Revere, George Washington, some of the just incredible men and women who fought, supported, they fought tyranny and hatred of themselves. But don't worry, there were plenty of Tories back then, or rather government sympathizers. You bet the government sympathizers, they were like the Democrats today. They're like, well, that's our government and we like what they're doing. We're completely sympathetic to it. We completely agree. The King of England can do whatever he wants. That's fine. We're blessed to be living, right, in such a place. No, sorry, it's not a bless. It's a fucking curse. Joe Biden is a curse. But just like the Tories or the British supporters of 1776, that world, we have today supporters of Joe Biden who hate America and hate us and don't mind all the shit that's going on because they think their guy is in charge. They're winning. They're doing great. What are they doing? What are they pushing for? Murder, rape, destruction. That's exactly what's going on. And we're going to get to the point at some point where the call will be, give me liberty or give me death. I personally do not feel like being arrested anytime soon. I don't think I'm going to allow myself to be arrested because I have committed no crime. So any arrest of me is a false arrest. It's an attempt to silence me, to punish me, to remove me as an obstacle, just like removing you as an obstacle is something they want. By silencing you, Chin Music, by silencing you, Darcy T, by silencing you, Mr. Skylight, and John, and Fred, and Bonnie, and Sue, and everyone else out there who supports freedom and liberty. Millions of us, it's not just a couple thousand folks, millions of Americans are pissed off. And they're tired of the bullshit. In fact, do you remember when Mad Maxine Waters, Mad Maxine, Congresswoman, giant, enormous, hypocritical Democrat idiot from Los Angeles. She was encouraging and telling her supporters, the anti-American, anti-freedom, racist, idiot scumbags during the BLM riot, she was telling them, you go follow Republicans to restaurants and you yell at them and chase them and harass them and don't let them shop or eat or do anything or go to their jobs. You bother the fuck out of them. Well, Mad Maxine is now pissed off, folks, because she encouraged harassment of Republicans, but now it's come back to bite her. Protesters are catching her in public and harassing the shit out of her. And she is screaming racism and playing the race card. Well, it got declined. The race card was denied because Mad Maxine, she was the one pushing for that. And it's not about race. It's about freedom. All of this stuff pushing Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, minority Americans, Native Americans, trying to get them to hate white people. It's not about race. It's about destroying freedom in America. That's really what it's about. Bringing and involving race and race war and race hatred is a tool of manipulation. It's an absolute tool. I was in a country that was full of blacks, folks. Owned by blacks, run by blacks, populated by blacks. Guess what? Zero racism, because it wasn't America. Zero racism. Not everyone wanted to talk to me or in the group I was with, but a lot of them did, and they'd ask questions. Hey, this and that and the other. Very friendly. Hey, how do you like our country? Are you having fun? I was like, yeah, it's a great country. Terrific. Fantastic. I mean, I'm not going to go, oh, your country sucks, this and that, make fun of it. I had a good time with these people. Really enjoyed them. Right? No racism. Right? Just unbelievable. Unbelievable. But they are all about racism. They're all about religious division as well. A pro-Palestinian activist, folks. Pro-Palestinian activist threatened to murder the mayor of Bakersfield and city council members, and did this threatening in a public meeting. Folks, we're going to either have law and order or murder and chaos. And it's all coming from Democrats and their pro-terrorist puppets and their racist thugs. There's going to be a bloody mess, and evil is going to hide its face in terror because it's coming, and they have turned it loose on us all. They're the ones who have done this. Literally, they're the ones who have done this. All right, Mr. Uman, let's do this. Let's do some more super chat. It is Uman. He says they can arrest everyone they want, but if there is no one willing to prosecute them or just release them, where does that get us? You see, in my opinion, the police, I think that's what you mean, they can arrest. The police need to arrest the district attorneys. They need to go into the office and say, you are derelict in duty because you did not prosecute Joe Smith. And Joe Smith went back out and committed another crime. Robbery, murder, assault, take your pick. Because you didn't do your job and you refused. You created a dangerous situation whereby other people were hurt. In other words, you're criminally neglect. It's your job. It is your position, your authority. You're being paid by the people, entrusted with that authority to keep crime in jail, to punish crime as a deterrent. You quit doing that, you don't punish crime, it becomes out of control. That's where we're heading, in my opinion, right now. Hello, Mr. Uman.
Okay, let me clarify. I mean, I completely understand what you're saying there.
Okay, but, what do you got?
If you arrest all the prosecutors and you arrest the judges, who's going to prosecute and judge?
Oh, you mean who's going? If you arrest them all?
Yeah.
Very easy. Very easy. You go to the next city, right? There's lots of cities. It's not like there's only one. And you say, we need help. Send us some prosecutors.
Yeah, but if
there's so many lawyers out there. You can have a very quick city council can appoint new prosecutors and district attorney just like that.
Sure, but they're going to reappoint them with the same type of people that we already got in there. This is a systemic problem. This is not a matter of, just arresting.
Well, there's no quick fix. I mean, I agree with you. There's no quick fix, in my opinion, Oliver. But once you start arresting district attorneys, now they know there is a consequence for their failure.
To an extent. I mean, around here, if you were to do that in Cook County, or Crook County as we call it,
right,
and you go to any of the surrounding counties and ask them for help and do the prosecution of these people, you're going to get the same result. I mean, I could see how that may work in some more rural areas, but when you're in a blue area surrounded by more blue areas and purple areas, I don't think you're going to get the result that you're looking for with that strategy.
Well, you have to start somewhere. So my thing to you is, where do you start then? Where do you start, Uman?
That's the $60,000.
How do you fix a problem that they created by neglect? You fix it by reversing the neglect and taking action.
Right. And that starts by getting people motivated to get out there and vote some decent people into these positions and start getting all these.
Now you're talking about voting again.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how they got here.
Yep, that's correct.
They convinced everybody. They convinced us that voting doesn't matter.
So here
what
we go.
easier way to avoid a fight, or to avoid a fight, or to win a fight, than to avoid it altogether?
There needs to be one strong leadership. Right now we have people going, well, we're not going to arrest anybody. We're not going to prosecute anyone. We're not going to put anyone in jail. You need strong leadership, period.
Yeah.
Now, if I go, okay, well, I say arrest all the prosecutors, district attorneys, and judges, and they're like, well, who's gonna take care of the criminals now? Well, they weren't doing it in the first fucking place. So what's the difference? Except now we've cleared the board of all the bad players. Now, what are people doing in the inner cities? They're saying, get the police back, right? They did the defund the police thing, right? That got rid of the police. It cleared the police out of there. Crime went up. People threw a fit.
Yep.
When the people get mad enough and start screaming loud enough and demanding that, prosecution happen, yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see things like in Chicago here that you got all the Democrats there upset about the immigration situation, and they're threatening to vote all the Democrats out. So, I mean, at some point, people have to realize that this whole left-right paradigm thing is just a scam. I mean, everybody gets out there, they promise everything and deliver absolutely nothing.
Well, it's because they are corrupt scum. Yes.
Yeah. And again,
let's take the inner cities for an example. Your blue and purple areas. They're having more and more out of the black community openly coming in front of cameras and supporting Trump. In fact, Trump went to some Chick-fil-A or some shit and ordered a bunch of fucking milkshakes. And some, the workers there, some of them black, were cheering and praising him. One lady came over, gave him a big old hug. They're going to vote for Trump because they're tired of this shit from these lying, thieving, Marxist sacks of shit like Mayor BJ of Chicago or Mayor Adams, the sack of shit in New York City. The people have had it. They want to vote them out. It's coming, but I think things have to get worse first.
Yeah, it's just that, there's a lot of people that say that they're going to vote the other way, but when they get into that booth or they get that mail-in ballot, they default to the D no matter what. Just like our guys default to the R no matter what.
I don't believe that. I believe that if they say they're going to vote for Trump, they're going to vote for Trump. They've already done it publicly. They're like, I'm voting for Trump. They already get the hatred. Marking that R in the voting booth isn't going to hurt them anymore.
Well,
I think it's all the dead people voting in Chicago, all the people getting 4, 5, 10, 20 mail-in ballots, all of the fake ballots being delivered in fucking mail trucks through the back door when they say stop counting and then they bring these trucks in. That's the cheating.
Yeah,
It's not the workers that have had enough shit or the homeowners. And they're like, I finally had enough of this shit. I'm voting for Trump. Those people aren't the problem.
Right. And what needs to happen is people need to start caring and getting out there and voting. Because if you look, even in a big election, you're getting maybe something like 20-25% voter turnout in most areas. I mean, it's pathetic. If everybody actually went out there and voted, and that's the other thing that scares me about what's coming up here, is that everybody's going to start screaming, it's a red wave again. And then everybody's going to think, we've got this one. I don't need to go bother voting.
In many districts from Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, more people voted than were registered to vote. It's the cheating. It's not the people voting. It's the fucking cheating. And it needs to be stopped. And I hear you about this red wave shit. I'm not screaming red wave. I'm screaming people need to get out and fucking vote and mean it.
Yeah.
Like that young man who's in Pennsylvania who's going around and changing blue districts to red with his organization he's put together, going door to door saying, this is Democrat shit. This is Republican crap. You need Republican crap over Democrat shit. I'm not a huge fan of the Republicans, as you know. Right? I'm a libertarian. I want freedom and liberty, but I see the Republican side as far less evil, and there's actually good people trying there. Now, we can vote and vote and vote, Mr. Uman, until voting doesn't work anymore, and then it's time to just start shooting people.
Yeah, well, that time seems to be coming in a lot of areas.
Yeah, I tell you, man. It's tough.
So, anyway, we could beat that horse to death and keep arguing in circles about that, but
that's a great debate topic. How do you fix a system that has been allowed and forced to be broken?
And
Democrats know that getting rid of the police is going to cause more crime, yet they did it anyway. Did they really believe that stupid fucking lie, or are they intentionally doing it?
The bureaucracy has grown so large and is so deep. It's not like you can just get rid of one person and solve the problem, or a dozen people and solve the problem. I mean, you have to just get rid of entire divisions of government.
So now you're talking about President Javier of Argentina, where he was elected. One man used his executive authority and sent thousands of people in Argentina home. You're done. You're fired. No more.
Yeah,
and he's not done. It wasn't a one-step move, right? It's going to take years to fix it.
Sure, but his executive authority is greater than the president of the United States in the United States, because he can't be challenged the way they challenge Trump on every corner here.
Well, look what Biden did. Killed the Keystone Pipeline. Years and years, billions of dollars, two countries working together, and he fucking destroyed it in one pen stroke. Tell me the president of the United States doesn't have real power. He's allowing immigrants in left and right.
Well, he didn't have the authority to do that, and the spineless morons on the right side of the aisle didn't do anything about it. They didn't contest it. I mean, if it would have been turned around the other way, where Trump signed the executive order to drill, they would have fought it tooth and nail and tied it up and put every obstruction they could think of in front of them to keep it from happening.
So what you're saying is he got out his sword and he started to chop, but they held his hand so he couldn't.
Yeah.
Well, so do you give up and not fight, or do you fucking keep fighting?
No, you keep fighting, but we got to get some people in there that are willing to fight.
That's just it. You and I saw 2016 to 2020, Trump get hamstrung, fucking backstabbed, shit on, tied up, restricted. Now we know how the fucking game is being played. There's no more any questions at all about how this is being played. It is abuse power, abuse power, abuse power. So what's that going to do with Trump? He's going to come out more like a fucking tyrannical dictator if he's reelected. They're going to call him that, of course. They're saying he's going to destroy democracy. Really?
Yeah, and he was going to cause World War III and everything else that
he's
our beloved
right?
Potato is doing right now.
How could he be worse than fucking Potato Head? It's just, we're going to have trouble. I mean, shit has hit the fan. When you and I are arguing, man, about how do you get rid of district attorneys who won't do their fucking jobs, and judges that won't do their jobs, and cops that won't do their jobs, entire areas are left on their own. We have riots. They call the police. They're like, you're on your own, John. I'm like, okay, then I guess I'm going to start shooting. That's really, we're way in SHTF. We're just waiting for the Mad Max hotspots now.
Yep.
If cops won't do their jobs, then we got to stand up for ourselves. If district attorneys won't arrest the perverts, freaks, and pedophiles, then we'll have to eliminate them ourselves. Well, there's a lot of hungry alligators down here in Florida.
Maybe that's the problem I have with the verbiage. It's not that the cops don't want to do their jobs necessarily, but they can't do their jobs because they're being tied up by the higher ups, which are all politically motivated positions.
Correct. But even the police in big cities tend to be more Democrat.
Because that is how that has evolved over the last decades with their hiring practices and everything else. Because they're union. You got a lot of these old time cops that are retiring out, and they're being replaced with guys that I'm sure they go through their interview process, and they probably have their little surveys and questionnaires to find the guys that will do whatever they're told.
That's right. They weed out the ones that they don't like, and it's this nepotistic, carcinogenic system.
Yeah,
it's just full of fucking cancer.
I guess it's just that the painting it with the broad brush like that is what kind of always irks me.
Broad brush. What do you mean?
Just if all the cops would just do their jobs, it's not. that simple. And it's not that all cops aren't trying to do their jobs, because there's probably tens of thousands of cops every day doing good stuff that you never hear about. It's kind of like when you go to Yelp to see a restaurant review. The people that have good experiences don't tend to write reviews. It's mostly the people that want to bitch and complain about something.
Right.
And then you hyper focus on those few complaints, and all of a sudden, that restaurant sucks, or all cops are bastards, or all whatever group or anything. I mean, if we wanted to start looking for pedophile dentists and found a dozen of them, and all of a sudden all dentists will be bad. I mean, you can demonize any group you want, but it's the system that's causing the problem, not the majority of the rank and file within that.
The system never fixes itself.
Of course.
It is fixed from external forces applied against it.
Yep.
Or the system implodes and destroys itself.
Yep.
And so that's coming. Now, all cops are bastards. I don't think so. Right. But who is going to be the one that steps up and fixes it? Or does it just get so bad that we degrade down into nothingness?
I don't know. That's the path I see it going down, because I don't think there's any kind of an organized approach to making this change. I mean, it's going to have to be, I think, a swift and fast and very ugly process that happens in order to really fix it.
But let's just say, for example, let's pick on Oklahoma. In Oklahoma City, their police department is too far gone. Too much corruption, too much politics, too much anti-American hatred. And so how does it fix itself? I mean, the people, they go into, say, a civil war type partisan conflict. Well, then what? Once they get done fighting and you've killed all the bad guys, let's just assume all the bad guys get chased out and they go live in Kentucky or something. Killed or go. Then what, you set up voting again? And you vote in new judges, attorneys, and police, and then say, we want law and order. Let's do it right again.
It's never been a perfect system, but it's better than what most of the rest of the world has.
I think there was a time, and I can't remember the incident exactly, but I think it was in Missouri. There was a city that was so corrupt that the people showed up with guns, and they literally removed all politicians from their positions of authority, including law enforcement, and replaced them.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people died or were shot or ended up being arrested, but when the people show up with guns and they say, we're either going to kill you or we're going to remove you and put you in jail until we get someone elected or in the position to serve as judge, prosecutor, and jury, and we're going to try you guys for your crimes.
Oh, I think that would work out very well in smaller communities, but you scale that up to a Chicago, New York, Los Angeles type situation, and there's no chance in hell that'll work.
I believe it can, but you can't do it for the whole city. The size of Chicago is so big. How can you do it? It has to be by districts or smaller areas. From this street to that street and this street to that street, that is our area.
Yeah, that's great, John. But when you have 100 districts and you're doing that to one district, the other 99 are going to come in and overtake you and overpower you and make that completely ineffective.
Who?
The other districts in the city, the other police districts, or whoever you're trying to.
You think the other police will come to their rescue?
Oh, absolutely.
Why would they?
Why would they not?
Why would they? What's in it for them? They go into that district, they get shot. It's like the police that won't go into South Chicago.
The city would declare an emergency, rally the troops, and they shift people around. It happened during the riots and everything else. Everybody
and it did zero good. They couldn't put the riots down, man. They couldn't put them down.
They weren't trying so hard, but they did move people between the districts. It's not like you can take over like one of these 100 districts within that city without having consequences, because they're all friends with each other too.
Yeah, but you're saying is that's what needs to happen, but it won't happen.
No, I'm saying it won't happen. It won't succeed like it did in that Missouri situation.
Mm-hmm. There's got to be a way. Then the system continues to go down until it disintegrates itself, is what you're saying.
It disintegrates, falls apart, and then change is forced upon it.
But you're saying that they'll come to each other's rescue, the people in charge that are trying to maintain control, right? The bad guys.
Yes, absolutely.
But how do they fail if they're maintaining control?
By brute force.
By brute force?
They maintain control by brute force.
Well, there's not very many police.
They will not allow that first domino to fall.
Well, that's what happened with the riots that we had in 2020, is these people did whatever the fuck they wanted. You know, the BLM type.
Sure. And if it wasn't allowed to escalate to that level, it never would have gotten that far.
Yeah. You know, the only way to stop those rioters would have been to go in and physically beat the living shit out of them, shoot them, and arrest them, right?
Yeah.
So they said, we're not doing that. So they just had riots night after night after night after night.
Because they knew there would be no consequences. Yes.
Yeah.
If a few of the smaller ones that started off in the beginning would have been put down, it would not have grown into what it did.
Right. I agree. That would have been something. Yeah. How to get through this is what I am continuing to wrestle with is if they're going to use brute force to maintain their power and control, the government, right? How are they going to do that?
The riots were not threatening their power and control.
Well, let's see, the Seattle Autonomous Zone, the ACAB, right? Not ACAB, but the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone.
Did the mayor did any political officials get removed because of that?
Almost. They threatened the mayor, and what did she do? She called the police. They came in, and one day they removed it.
Yeah.
They have the power to do that, but they have the power.
Exactly. And they would do the same thing if you tried to take over a district and kick every politician and police officer out of there. The same thing would happen. The mayor would call, they would rally the troops, and they would clear that district out and get all the
Seattle. I'm sorry. In Portland, the mayor had his own house, his apartment, infiltrated by the same types of people. And the police was barely able to get him out of there. Now, what if these rioting idiots have guns and start shooting them instead of just throwing firecrackers and rocks? Now, what situation do we have? Because what we're talking about is civilization or civilized behavior coming down.
Yeah, and enough of it has to come down simultaneously. You're not going to do it one district at a time. I mean, it has to be so bad that the whole city is incapable of holding it together before something like that would work.
So if they knock the power out in Chicago, it's not going to be in one little district. It's the whole city.
Yeah.
If these terrorists start doing what they want, or the city fails to do its job, it's going to get there, man. It's just, how do you fix it? How do you build back up from there?
I don't know. I'm not that guy. I could fix a machine. I could fix a car. I can build you stuff, but I'm not a politician. I don't have those answers.
Yeah.
I just see the problems with what a lot of people are proposing, or seeing how things will happen. And in a microcosm, that may work. You know, on smaller scales, it may work, but in these big blue towns, I mean, Cook County would be bringing in Lake County Police, McHenry County Police, DuPage County Police, every county around, they'd be bringing in state troopers. And then they'd probably also call in the National Guard if it got bad enough.
Well, National Guard is made up largely of police, by the way, if you're not aware of that. And so if they're rioting everywhere, if power's out everywhere, if there's crime everywhere, why would they leave their district to go help another district that's having trouble when they're having trouble in their district? This is what I ran into with law enforcement in California. They're like, we can't go help other counties because we're being fucked by these people. We're being overwhelmed at every county. And so every sheriff is having to deal with their own shit, and they can't, there's not enough of them.
If it's limited to the Chicago area in Cook County, the other counties, they would be drawing people from these other counties to bring them in there. But now it would have to be that kind of chaos happening in all of those counties simultaneously for them not to be able to back up and support each other. And if
That's
it
what was
was a
happening.
situation where somebody was trying to take over, kick out politicians and police, the first area that happened in would not be allowed to spread. They would pounce on that so fast. It's not like with the BLM riots where they just allowed it to grow and, oh, there's nothing we can do about it.
If you think they've learned a fucking lesson, I think you might be mistaken. The police will do the same thing they did last time, which is sit back until it's too late. I'm just saying when the violence happens, I think that's when they're going to realize where they made a big fucking mistake.
I don't know. I think it's a little more deliberate than that.
The cops I knew all knew that when things get really bad, when it becomes violent and shooting time, they will bug out. There will be no cops. They will protect their own. They will not go and protect other cities and counties. They'll be like, fuck that. When people start shooting cops on the street, they know they're a target. They've told me that. They've told me that here in the South. They've told me it out West. They will not stick around to be targets.
Oh, I've heard that here as well. So, I mean,
yeah. I think Tony mentioned something like that.
We need to stop this because it's already 7:00. We still got 2 more super chats. And we could argue about this for days. So
no, it's great. It's because we're at this place, Oliver, where you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, you're damned if you try, you're damned if you ignore it. No matter what, we're going to go down some weird road and trying to figure out, well, how do we circumvent that? How do we stop it now? How do we fix it? Well, this government entity will stop you. This one will stop you, and you know they want to maintain their power, and it's a messed up deal.
The road will take us where it takes us.
Right.
And all we can do is deal with it when it happens.
Yeah. And right, it's going to be a mess.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me get these last 2 up for you.
Okay, cool. Great topic, man. Good discussion, back and forth. Dan Erickson has a $10 super chat donation. He says, "I wish I could find one of those school desks I had in the 60s growing up. The teacher assured us if you were under your desk, you're safe if a nuclear war happens with Russia." Yeah, those are great desks. Also, for nuclear war, go to a fallout shelter because I'm sure they're going to have all the food and water and beds and bathrooms for the entire population to survive a nuclear war. That's it's kind of like the government guaranteeing your safety during the next BLM set of riots. They're just not going to be able to do it. They're going to have a hard enough time maintaining their power and control. And crazy stuff. Anyways, thank you, Dan. Yeah, those desks were amazing. Somehow they could stop the power of a nuclear blast. All right, Mr. Uman, and we got Backcountry Preps. We got Vaughn in the house with a $10 super chat donation. He says, "It hurts my heart to see our country in this state. The day is coming. No, the day is here to stand up." Thank you, Mr. Uman. I got you a message here. Yeah, there's going to be a day where we all have to face the music, I guess. Whatever is happening, you could be in a place where the police are able to maintain control and they're willing to step up and they've got enough to handle it. And then there's going to be places where you're just on your own. It's either too big of a geographic location or the percentage of assholes is too bad. That's why I say you need to know where you live, the 10-mile radius around you, who is in there, their age, demographics, right? Their religion, their belief systems. Who are these people? Are there a lot of vets? Are there a lot of relocated criminals who have moved to an area because they're not going to be bothered? They feel protected, or there's gangs. It's a mess. So you've got to know where you live. You've got to know the area. You know, if you're going to live in, an area that's got just good people, you'll know it. You know, and how do you find those areas? How do you get the cooperative assistance from people that live around you to protect yourselves if the police can't or won't help you because they're too busy trying to maintain control at City Hall to keep the police department from being burned or the courthouse from being burned? Once again, in these situations, and Oliver and I kind of discussed it, it's like How do you arrest the mayor and the city council and arrest the police chief and arrest all the police? There was just recently a police department, the entire police department, it was a small one, was told you're fired, you're done, you're out, you're gone, you guys are corrupt, you're just done. So they bring in the sheriff's department because now the unincorporated areas are going to take care of that. That puts a strain on the county sheriff. But that was an example of a very small, bad area of corruption. How do you fix that? We're going to find out the hard way. The hard way. And you're also going to have people that are going to vie for power and control of these areas. It's going to be a fucking mess. And you throw into that all these radical Muslims, all these radicalized students, these radicalized Marxist communists. You're going to throw into that all of these foreigners from another country. All these morons that want Sharia law, they think that's going to be, everyone's going to take the law into their own hands. That's going to be just an ugly, ugly mess. So yeah, the hordes out there looking for food, the hordes out there wanting to find someone to blame. It's going to be, it hurts my heart, Mr. Vaughn. And there is no easy, quick fix solution. There's not one remedy is going to fix it all, as Oliver pointed out. Yeah, smaller town, tighter community. They're going to work together a little better than a completely unfamiliar and anonymous population. They're going to get together. How are they going to vote on anything and agree what to do? You're going to have several people fighting for control. That's if the government gives up control. Then what about situations where the government wants to maintain absolute control? For example, New Orleans Police Department, Hurricane Katrina. They pronounced themselves the gods of New Orleans. No one's going to have any guns. So they called in literal National Guard from other states, as far away as California Highway Patrol showing up in New Orleans, abusing old women because they had a gun to protect themselves. Women were raped. People were murdered by the police in New Orleans. That's right. Raped by the police, murdered by the police, kept imprisoned in the Superdome. Which dome was that? Whatever the fucking dome is in New Orleans. They were held there captive. They weren't allowed to leave because the police took control and the people allowed it. It's just, what do you do? I'm done. Get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. We're all going to be left to our best devices. Right? Yikes. I would not want to be in a big city when that happens. I wouldn't want to be in a rural city that's controlled by a bunch of hicks, right? Because they may decide that, they want their version of law and order, and it doesn't include this blonde-haired dude, right? You could end up with that good old boy network, a gang network. And that is where some group like MS-13 or other drug cartels, they have proven successfully to go into an area, use brute force and violence to take control of an area and remove all government control. I know that's Mexico. I get it. I know that was Colombia in the 80s with the cocaine cartel or cartels. How do you take control of that back? How do the people get that back? I don't know. It's going to be that messy of a situation. First thing you got to do, I think, though, is be prepared that, these types of things can happen, and we're being pushed in that direction by these lawless fuckers called Democrats who are pushing to release criminals and not prosecuting criminals and releasing dangerous felons and not holding people accountable and letting these people I talk about, these kids let out of jail, they go and kill police. Let out of jail, they go and push old women down steps and rob them. The only people not being victimized by these people are people who pull out a gun, their Second Amendment right to protect themselves and defend the country, and they're doing just that. We're starting to see little bits and pieces of this playing out, negative and positive. How does it all end? I just know it has to get a lot worse before it's going to get any better. And even after you remove all of the evil, we could end up with something like the French had. We had the American Revolution and we got a secure country. The French had their revolution and they got more revolution and more murders and more corruption and more people vying for control of the country, and their system failed. And the people were terrorized in the early 1800s throughout France because they couldn't come together and devise a system that was operable. America's loaded with guns. That's, in a way, that's not going to make it better. It'll make removal of problems, but problems are perspective. If your belief is this type of issue is just fine and this isn't, but this type of issue that you think is fine is murdering all of your enemies, political enemies, adversaries, opponents, your neighbors, that's going to be one hell of an area to live in. So, yeah, having food and water, the ability to protect yourself, those are kind of key things. And I think maybe this will be probably the best way to describe how we get out of this. It's going to be a war of attrition that is outliving, outlasting, outgunning, and outthinking all of our adversaries until there are so few of us left that we can agree that we want to be civilized again. Maybe that's it, but I guess we're going to find out. Great conversation with Mr. Uman tonight. Bob Hunter does another £2 super chat donation. Hey, Bob Hunter, he's a Scotsman. The Scots do not particularly care for the English. It's not like it used to be where they didn't just particularly not like them, but they wanted to kill them all, right? But they've managed to get along. It's crazy, folks. Absolutely crazy. Thank you to all of you for showing up Sunday Night Live at the Zoo. I'll be back tomorrow for Zero Dark 30, starting early. We've got crazy stuff going on with precious metals, gold and silver. We've got crazy stuff going on with the markets. We've got crazy stuff going on with the Federal Reserve, the banking system. New York City has never seen a lower occupancy rate for their buildings. I've seen 2 buildings now, massive skyscrapers, going for sale for like, I don't know, one of them was $1.5 million. Another one was like $10 million for a building that costs hundreds of million dollars to build because the system is failing. We're going down that road. Are you prepared? I also want to say this before we go. Hey, these guys got a hold of me again. The cafefe.com. They sent me some more K-Cups. www.cafefe.com. Awesome coffee. Thank you again. You guys are awesome. Great. Love that coffee. That's going to go into my prepper stash. Militant Roots steps up, says $4.99 super chat. Thanks for the show. You bet. You bet. This is what I'm here for, is I want everyone to wake up and think and get prepared and understand. Being prepared puts you in a position to be healthy with food, water, and the ability to think and defend yourselves. We need to get to the point where we can all think properly again. Right now, apparently, half the population doesn't know if there's more than 2 genders or not. They think there are. Half the population thinks you get rid of crime by making every criminal act legal. Half the population thinks that when you're in power and authority, you can just scream, I'm the boss, and everyone has to believe and obey me. Right? And if you don't believe and obey them, then you're a racist or a criminal or whatever, right? In other words, we're descending and devolving into a lawless culture and society. I just came back from a third world country, folks, where I saw the effects of corruption, socialism, communism. I saw the effects of what happens when you dumb down a population. I saw the effects of when you educate a population. I saw all this. I saw it all. It was incredible. I saw people living in abject poverty. I saw people living first world wealth and health. It's incredible, folks, what could happen if we make the wrong decisions, if we allow the wrong decisions. And how do you stop them? I mean, I can't go stop the police. I can't stop judges. I can't stop anybody. I'm just one guy. What happens if an entire, say, city is just thrown into the recesses of hell? Turn out the lights, no power, no food, no water. What are people going to do? They're going to lose their shit. They will panic. Hell, people are panicking and nearly rioting because they can't get to the IRS as promised to get their tax returns. They're desperate in America. That's right, this country, America. People are becoming extremely desperate to the verge of violence. Do you want to be a part of that violence, or do you want to avoid that violence? Do you want to be victimized by it, or do you want to defend yourself from it? And when we get through all the violence and all the stupid, then what? Is the South going to be any better off than the North, or the West, or the East? These are all decisions we need to make individually and independently until there comes a time when we can collectively come together and form a more perfect union, right? We got our hands full. I hope you are prepared, and I want to thank you for coming to the show and listening. I'll have something interesting to talk about tomorrow, no doubt. No doubt it's coming. Chance favors the prepared mind is yours. Semper Fi. Godspeed. God bless America.